Okay, of course, other important things here would be microphones, of course. So we're not going to go into the extreme details about microphones, but of course we have here, like, I don't know, 7 lectures just about microphones. But real quick, 2 different types of microphones: condensers versus dynamic microphones. This is a difference in the way they operate, in the way they work. For a condenser microphone, you need something that's called phantom power. So you need to feed them with power in order for them to work. They need to be able to, you need to be able to polarize these plates inside the microphone. Doesn't matter, but the point is, dynamic condenser, why are they called like this? Because of the way they work. The picture of this microphone is here on purpose. This is SE X1 microphone, SE Electronics X1 microphone, and I read a bunch of, I didn't actually test it, so I mean, yeah, you have to test it on your own. But the point is, this microphone won a lot of awards. They even had a blind test where they took this microphone, some Neumann microphone, which costs like, I don't know, 700 euros, and some AKG microphone and one other microphone, and they recorded the same thing with these 4 microphones, and they gave these recordings to some sound editor, a bunch of recording engineers, so some guys who mean actually something in the industry. And this microphone won. This microphone won, I don't know, almost all of these tests, and it cost 120, 30 euros. So it costs, I don't know, 500 or 400 euros less than the Neumann microphone, which these people didn't like as much as they like this one. I'm not saying it's the best microphone, but what I'm saying again is that, especially in this audio world, more money doesn't actually mean that for you it's the better choice. It's hard to find, it's hard to choose what you need when it's not so simple. It would be simple if, okay, I have this amount of money, here, give me something. You have to actually understand if you need it. That's okay, it's similar in most situations. This is the SM57, the most popular dynamic mic. You can, if you need to have one dynamic microphone, this would be it. This is a popular mic for everything, for close miking, guitars, for vocals, for whatever. But that's it. One other important thing to understand about microphones, you can explore on your own also. Is this mic directivity or polar patterns. These polar patterns simply tell you what the microphone hears. So to keep it short and simple, if I have this microphone, which is in the figure of 8 mode, figure of 8 mode means hears me, and hears me means that there's something at the output of the microphone. Hears me, doesn't hear me, doesn't hear me. So it's going to hear me in the front and in the back, but it's going to not hear me at the sides, like so. So no signal, no signal, no signal, loud signal, loud signal. This is figure of 8 polar pattern. Of course, not absolutely no signal, but much quieter than like so, okay? This is useful in a lot of situations where you want to put a microphone somewhere where it's going to, let's say, record the snare drum, but not capture the hi-hat. So you would aim the dead part of the microphone to something you don't want to record. Also, this is a cardioid, or normal directional cardioid polar pattern. Usually this would be the symbol, like a heart-shaped symbol. This is why it's called cardioid. The thing is that with this polar pattern, if it's a cardioid polar pattern, here it hears me, and as I turn it, it starts hearing me less and less. So hears me a lot, here at the side doesn't hear me so much, here at the back doesn't hear me at all. Okay? So this is useful, let's say, if you have this dynamic microphone for live purposes. You know, every musician on stage has a monitor where he can hear himself. It's good that the microphone hears the musician, but doesn't hear the speaker, which is under the, because this can create feedback. You get that bleep sound, which usually it's not so cool in live situations. And also, of course, you have the Omni microphone, which basically hears me however I turn the microphone, it hears everything. These Omni mics work in the exact same way as your ears work. So Omni microphones are said to be the most natural sounding, so this is the usual choice for recording vocals. Omni-type, omnidirectional mics. Also, one thing that you should understand is that these microphones are not all, these polar patterns are not all linear in the frequency response manner. Why? Because Omni, wherever, if I'm talking into an Omni mic, like this, or like this, the only difference is going to be loudness. So here, louder than here. If I have a figure of 8 mic, this is not true. Here, okay, let's say here I generate some level of the signal, but if I go closer to the mic, the signal is a lot louder and it has a lot more bass. So it's not just louder, it's louder plus more bass. This is called the proximity effect, and this is something that all directional mics exhibit. So all microphones which are not Omni exhibit this proximity effect. This also means that this SM57, if I talk into it like this, I'm creating one amount of signal. If I talk really close to it, it's much louder plus much more bass heavy. It's like if I want to create this signal out of this signal, I need to take this signal, boost it in level, and then boost the low frequencies. So that's the point. You have to be careful. Why this might be a problem is because then if you try to record vocals, if you have this microphone and you do these sounds, you basically hear a lot of popping and bursts of these PB plosive sounds tend to create pops and noise. One thing, this is simply because how microphones work. So if you want to have a microphone which is not going to create such problems, take a microphone which is an Omni microphone and first try that. And for all of these other polar patterns, you need to have to know how to exploit them. This is cool to understand what it does. Pop filter or a pop shield. Of course, the main purpose of this, he's so happy. The main purpose of this pop shield is that you stop the guy from spitting on the mic, one thing. And another thing is to stop these pop sounds. So if you have the pop shield, you're not going to have these sounds so loud. The pop shield kills the pops. So this is what the pop shield does. One other thing is to limit how close the singer can come to the microphone. That's also one important thing. If you put the pop shield like here, this means that the guy can sing like this. And for a microphone which has this thing we mentioned, boost in low frequencies when you're close, called the proximity effect. If you have such a microphone and the guy can come really close, if he does this, moves around the microphone, you're going to be changing the sound a lot. Okay, so this is bad. If you have a microphone which exhibits the proximity effect or is not omnidirectional, then you should put the microphone a bit further away from the singer, so that when he moves a bit, he's not just creating different loudness. He's not influencing the frequency response also. Okay. If you have questions, ask, but that would be it. So an omnidirectional mic would be the safest choice for recording vocals. All of these others try and learn a bit what's what, and you have to know how to manipulate these things. These are some other polar patterns. Omni, this means, this is the microphone, this means that it hears sounds coming from all directions at the same level. This microphone is going to hear this sound, but it's not going to hear this sound. And this microphone is going to hear this and this sound, not going to hear this sound, not going to hear this sound. What you should also remember is that this is different for one microphone for a different frequency. These polar patterns look different for the same microphone if you try and focus on different frequencies. So maybe this microphone for this microphone, this is true for 4 kilohertz, but the polar pattern is a bit different for 2 kilohertz. So you have to check it. And one really cool site for figuring out how microphones work and what are their properties is this microphone data website. Here you can actually find, here you have to register, but it's free. You can actually find info about all microphones ever built. So let's check here, SM81. You can find condenser, cardioid, suggestions for applications, and you can see the frequency response plot. So the frequency curve, you can see this one is pretty flat, and you can see the polar patterns for different frequencies. Okay, and all other things. And you can check this for different types of microphones. And here you have basically almost all microphones. I didn't find any microphone that wasn't here. Maybe some Thomann mics, but that's it. Basically that's it from my part. If you have questions, ask. Yes?
What kind of software would you recommend for computers which are not Apple, like, I know, Windows Vista?
I mean, Cubase. For mixing or recording, why not? I mean, none of these sequencers are very process or hungry more than some others. This really depends on what you're doing. So, if you can afford Pro Tools 10, Pro Tools 10 is even better because it has a bit different way of managing data. So it actually, if you have a lot of audio tracks, it loads up all the audio tracks into RAM. As soon as you press play, so this means that you don't have to have a fast hard drive. You have to have a lot of RAM, and that's it. But Pro Tools 10 is expensive. Other questions? Yes?
We were talking about headphones versus monitors, and then we said that the headphones amplify this effect of stereo sound, and that you have to be aware of that when mixing. But people listen to music on both things, so when you mix music, you mix it like people are going to listen on speakers, or
you mix it so that you are somewhere in between, so that it makes sense for both. The thing is that you have to be aware that this is what it does, and then you try and reach some middle ground where this works for both applications. Okay, this can be different for different types of music, but usually you would simply be aware that the sound can change when you try and play this through speakers, let's say. And you should check. So that's it. You just make it work on both systems. That's it. Other questions? Ask. No one had no problems doing anything. Okay. If you don't have questions, that's it. If you have, ask. Thank you.